Well, that was the most boring Masters I've ever seen. The good news is, golf does have planned to spice things up going forward. The Ohtani scandal is much more than a scandal now, to the tune of $40 million. Dad is going to try and convince me today that Shohei didn't know about this, but he's going to have to work real hard to make that happen. And the NFL draft is filled with quarterbacks. They're all going to suck. That and more coming up on Sports Talk with Dad right now. Welcome back to another amazing episode of Sports Talk with Dad. As always, my name is Kyle, and I cannot call this Sports Talk with Dad without the man sitting next to me, a man whose body has already naturally started the embalming process, my dad, Tim.
You could have said that 30 years ago, because then Keith Richards and I probably would have been in the same boat, but not anymore.
The fact that you still look as good as you do, which you don't, but the fact that you even slightly look as good as you do is proof that the embalming process has started.
I look better than you do in that horrific t-shirt.
You know I wore this.
No.
You remember when Ohio
Yes.
State beat Wisconsin in the national championship?
I've watched the game, yeah.
It's been a couple of shows since I've reminded you that Ohio State is much better than Wisconsin. And so I thought today was a good day because I don't have anything news-wise to talk about to prove my point, but I could wear this t-shirt.
I hate you.
Ready? O-H.
So,
I did it wrong. There we go. I screwed it up.
I'm going to get you a Gonzo Muppet thing for the show here pretty soon.
First and foremost, many people may not know this, but Jim Henson is one of my all-time favorite people in this world. So
It was
I'm
awesome.
game.
But you've got this weird obsession lately with chickens.
Oh, that's the Gonzo comment. Yeah, Gonzo is obsessed with chickens. For those
Yes,
who don't know
he
that.
is.
I love chickens. I have a new best friend.
You named a freaking chicken.
I did.
We
This
can-
weekend, some friends of ours from church have a farm that they are starting, and they had chickens, and they know I love chickens.
Why?
And I don't know. I just love chickens. I've wanted chickens for years
They're
now.
tasty. They're
They're delicious, and their eggs are good too. So they invite us to the farm, and I tried not to embarrass my children, but I definitely did because I was very excited about these chickens. And they had this one black chicken that walked right up to me, and I picked it up, and it just sat in my arms. And it didn't have a name. And so I named it. It is now Francesca. And I told my wife I now have a side chick.
Oh my
That was about
God.
her reaction when I said
Oh my
it, too.
God.
But
That-
she was my best friend. I set her down, and she just stayed by me until I picked her back up again.
Oh, she probably cried when you left.
Probably.
We can't have chickens here.
Mm,
No, we cannot have chickens.
No. I
It's-
can get chickens.
It's in the HOA. We cannot have chickens.
In your HOA. I mean, we live in the same HOA, but
Yes, but no. Anyways, on to bigger and better things.
I
have
want
a-
chickens.
Before we start, I've got a trivia question because we were talking about our favorite movies a week ago.
Yes.
And we were talking about Rocky.
Okay.
Rocky 3. You
Yeah.
remember that one?
I do.
Eye of the Tiger. Great
It's
song.
the Eye of the Tiger. It's funny because it's the theme song of Rocky, but it wasn't until the third movie.
It wasn't. But what song did Stallone want to use for the third movie? It wasn't Eye of the Tiger. That was his second choice.
Saturday Night Fever.
No.
I have no idea.
Queen's Another One Bites the Dust.
Really?
Yes. I heard that
Huh.
random
Was that
trivia-
song even out at that point? Well, Rocky
Oh,
3 was
sure.
the 80s, right?
Yeah, it was in the 80s. And Another One Bites the Dust, I think, was
I think
70.
it was 80, 81.
I thought it was earlier than that, like
It might have been.
78, something like that.
It could have been. I don't know.
But
That would have also been a really good song.
Queen has 3 rock anthems, or sports anthems.
They do.
I mean, Another One Bites the Dust.
Yep.
We are
Will
the
rock you.
champions. and
We
We will rock you.
Are the champions.
You don't have to sing it. Everybody
my
knows it.
friends.
But
Sing with me, and we'll keep on fighting
okay,
till
you,
the end.
you don't want me to sing.
They don't
would've
want me to
just-
sing.
That would have just been I mean, I respect Freddie for not going commercial at that time.
Well, Queen didn't go to commercial until after Freddie.
yeah,
died.
Freddie was not going to let him use that song.
Nope.
So I just thought it
That
was
is interesting, though. It's after Freddie passed away that they started. And now every commercial has a Queen song.
And John Deacon is just putting that money to use, and they're making them millions upon millions upon millions of dollars.
And they still tour, which shows that they just tour just because they love it.
It's a great show, even with Adam.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard Brian May, who is the guitarist, by the way, of Queen? I know I'm squirreling hardcore here, but Brian May, have you ever heard him talk, like actually talk about like science?
Well, he's got 2 doctorates.
He's a rocket scientist, literal rocket scientist.
Astrophysicist, isn't he?
Is that what it is?
Or it's something to do with...
John Deacon's an engineer.
Yes.
Brian May is, I thought he was... I don't know what a rocket scientist is called scientifically, so you're probably right.
Something.
Listening to him talk, it's like, man.
And you know what Roger Craig, the drummer?
Dentist.
There you go.
You know what Freddie was? The lead singer.
A graphic designer and the lead singer. Okay, we're getting back to sports. Sorry.
We're getting back to sports.
We
But we have one other thing we have to talk about.
What?
Before we get into sports. We have a new member of the Sports Talk with Dad family.
Yes, we do.
So we have to welcome Family Farms.
Welcome to Family Farms, where our culinary journey is woven with passion, dedication, and a commitment to crafting the finest bacon-wrapped chicken, a timeless delicacy that has tantalized the taste buds since 1974. At Family Farms, we're more than just a traditional name. We've evolved into purveyors of gourmet delights. Join us on this flavorful adventure, where every bite tells a story of tradition, quality, and the enduring spirit of Family Farms.
Thank you so much, Family Farms, for being a part of the Sports Talk with Dad family. We are very happy to have you here. And those chickens looked really good.
They did, but
I really want bacon wrapped chicken now.
Just go and buy everything Family Farms because the food is incredible.
It is. It really is. But we have the Masters to talk about.
We do. It was the most anticlimactic Masters I've seen in a long time.
I've never been more bored watching golf. And that's saying something.
It was like everybody knew Scheffler was going to win.
Yeah.
He knew he was going to win. And it was just over.
My Tiger premonition was close.
No, it was about as wrong as it could possibly be.
After the third hole on Saturday. But before then.
He made the cut.
He made the cut.
But then he
hasn't played. I didn't realize he hasn't played 4 rounds of golf in like 3 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
He's pulled out of every tournament that he's been in.
Well, usually weather and pain will do that.
Right.
But
he finished.
And I still, if he's going to win another major, it's going to be at the Masters.
I think so. He was he was really sore at the end of Friday. He played a lot more holes.
22 or 23 holes on Friday.
It's Thursday. It got rained out.
It's going to take 4 perfect days in the high 70s, low 80s for him to.
It's going to take magic, man.
Yeah, he's got magic.
It's going to take a special run, and I don't think it has to be the Masters. If you talk about the players, if you talk about the British Open, the U.S. Open, they are courses that he knows really, really well.
Yeah, one of them's going to, I think the U.S. Open or the PGA, one of the two is at Pinehurst number 2, which
there you go.
He knows. Valhalla. Oh, the PGA is at Valhalla this year. He knows that one as well.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be the Masters. I understand what you're saying, but I don't think it has to be the Masters. But if you look at storylines, did you also notice, by the way, on the TV coverage, there were no live players on camera at all, unless they had to be.
DeChambeau was on
in the beginning, but as soon as he fell off, they stopped showing him on camera.
John Robb said something interesting. He actually wants Liv to go to 72 holes. And you and I have talked about it. I think it affects those players.
Yeah, we've said that several times. How are they going to perform when it becomes... Because it didn't the first year, but we knew that coming into the second year it was going to be a problem, and you're seeing that. You saw DeChambeau, who was in the lead for the first 2 days and really fell off on the 4th day. He does that anyway. Brooks Koepka
wasn't there.
Give him an Xbox controller, because that was an embarrassing performance. These guys also only play like 8 times a year. They're just not used to playing golf.
Well, I saw a video last night by Mr. Short Game. He was talking about things that are going to be announced in the very near future.
Yeah.
looks like Live, PGA Tour, and DP World Tour are about to come to some agreement, along with PIF. Obviously, the Saudis are involved. There's going to be a merger, and it's going to be to allow Live players to get world ranking points, and there'll be a set of super tournaments that everybody will play in besides just the majors and the
I don't know
Players
why the
Tournament.
PGA is doing this. You have to be financially sound enough to play the long game on this.
Well, and I don't think they are. I mean, you're looking at the
How can you have Tiger Woods for all those years and not be financially sound?
I don't know. But Tiger, speaking of him, there will be teams in the PGA Tour. Tiger's going to have a team, and ownership of the team, which apparently means extra money
Sure.
in the hundreds of millions. Rory's also going to own a team. This has been rumored and kind of fed to us over the last, couple months.
But why not just have Live versus PGA in the majors and just make a big deal out of that? If I'm the PGA Tour, I make a big deal out of that.
To that end, part of this down the road will be a Live versus PGA Tour Ryder Cup style event.
I think you just continue to ignore the fact that Live exists, and eventually they're going to fall away.
They're losing too many players. I don't think that can happen anymore.
And lose the players and make stars out of the players you have.
You can say that, but the reality is, with the PIF money, there is going to be a merger, and it's going to be announced over the next couple of weeks, and then after the U.S. Open, it's going to come out in short little bursts. So for all of us that love golf, watch for some big announcements to come through. Friend of the show, Dave Schultz.
Yeah, he called this a year ago.
He called this, and looks like he is spot on.
To me, it reminds me back from in your day, and this may be a terrible example. It probably will, but I'm good at terrible examples, so I'm going to do it anyway. You remember when the WWE, WWF at that time started buying up all the other territories?
Yeah, I used to love WCW.
Right. And they just ran out of money. I mean, that was Ted Turner being kicked out of TNT.
But McMahon bought WCW.
They just folded. He didn't buy them. They just folded.
He announced he bought it. Leave it alone. Everything I see on TV when those wrestling shows is real.
Maybe he did buy it. I don't know. I don't pay that close attention. My mom didn't let me watch it growing up. But when you were a kid, they had the different areas. You had Minnesota, you had everything, and you would get the talent to go different places, and it was this big deal. And
AWA was in the Midwest, and that's where guys like Ric Flair started. Hogan was a little part of that, on and on and on, and slowly but surely.
And it's just, if you listen to people who are fans of wrestling when you were younger, it's a watered down product now.
It's a different product. Wrestling today is nothing like it was when I was a kid. These athletes are much, much better.
They're much better athletes.
I just don't think the storylines are as compelling as they were when I was a kid.
You don't have the grit.
No.
That's for sure. It's very clean cut.
Look, I watched Dusty Rhodes get his knee messed up by Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen. Four Horsemen was one of the greatest storylines of all time. The PGA Tour is missing some of these storylines ever since Tiger has gone away.
Correct.
They've got to do something to bring it all back, and this may be a way.
It was Tiger versus Phil. That was the storyline, and they were in it in the end. For a while there, you had Brooks Koepka versus Bryson DeChambeau, and they really did a good job with that story. John Rahm, when he was going for it, was a good story. PGA was really good at telling a story, and now they're just not telling a story anymore.
It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out literally over the next 60 to 90 days. So we'll report on it, obviously, as we get the information, but watch for some big announcements from the PGA Tour.
You let us know what you think, if this is a good idea or a bad idea by the PGA. And you let us know in the comments below. And while you're down there, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it.
The funniest thing out of the whole weekend, though, was the fact that Greg Norman had to buy a ticket.
He did.
He
You know what the best thing out of the entire weekend was?
Scheffler winning?
I have a new chicken friend.
Stop it.
Her name's Francesca.
The NBA playoffs are about to start, ignoring that comment completely. The Bucks
That's funny.
literally limped into the playoffs.
They're third seed.
They
I don't
dropped
think
from the
that's
second
limping in.
They dropped from the second to the third. Giannis probably isn't going to play game one due to that calf injury.
Yep.
I have 2 questions for you.
Sure.
One, are the Bucks going to get past Indiana? And 2, has this season been a complete bust?
Well, they were 30-13 when Adrian Griffin was the head coach, and they are 2 games under 500 since Doc Rivers took over. Doc Rivers is, I'm sorry, he's just not the coach everybody thinks he is. He won with a team filled with superstars before that was a thing. He was the only one out there, and they were all at peak performance, and you even had a 4th player that played out of his mind in Rajon Rondo. He hasn't done anything since.
They brought in Dame Lillard.
They're going to get out of the first round. Dame Lillard is going to take over because it's playoff time. You built this team for the playoffs. You didn't build it for the regular season.
Right. But now they're in the position where they better be able to just flip a switch and turn it on. The biggest mistake they made, they were one of the best defensive teams in the league, but they let Drew Holiday go.
Right.
And I think that decision is going to come back to bite them if they do get it through a series or 2 in the playoffs.
It might. I mean, Indiana's had Milwaukee's number this year for sure. They've won 4 out of 5 games so far this year, but this is a different situation. This is where the lights get the brightest, and this is where the best players perform. And Dame Lillard is one of the best players in the NBA. He's going to show up.
He's going to focus.
And as long as the team around him can do the same thing, which I think they will, because I think they're going to feed off that energy. If they don't get out of the first round, Dame Lillard's gone, and Giannis might be gone too.
Could be. I mean, bringing in Pat Beverly was a shot
help.
in the arm. He's now starting.
Yeah.
And I think that's helped. It's going to be interesting. I think they beat Indiana as well, and then it depends on the draw. So whether they get it. They're going to have a hard time with Philadelphia and or Boston.
If they get knocked out of the first round, Giannis is gone. I don't think he's staying. He signed that extension. I think he loves Milwaukee, but the direction that they are going, and players just don't stick with the same team anymore. They just don't. I think firing Mike Budenholzer was a terrible idea. Now hindsight's 2020.
Sure.
Firing Adrian Griffin was a terrible idea. You were 30-13 with him as your head coach, and you brought in Doc Rivers cold from an ABC analyst, and the guy's not a good coach.
Well, he is a good coach, but
he's not a good coach. He is Jeff Fisher of the NBA. He'll get you 8-8, and he may get you the playoffs, but that's all he's going to do. Jeff Fisher had 1 run into the Super Bowl, and that was it. He was 8-8 ever since. Doc Rivers and Jeff Fisher are the same coach. Are you going to sit here and tell me Jeff Fisher was a good coach?
No, I'd never claim that.
Okay, then you can't say Doc Rivers is a good coach.
I can, because I think he gets more respect from his players than Jeff Fisher ever got.
Great. You have respect from your players. That worked for Wade Phillips, right?
I
don't think he does. If you have respect from your players, they're going to play for you. Anytime he's there for a long stretch of time, Joel Embiid stopped responding to him. If you look in the Clippers, they stopped responding to him. Any place he's been fired.
Well,
Great coaches don't get fired.
Well, if he's going to do anything, I mean, he's with the Bucks for the next several years because they're already paying 2 coaches not to coach, and Budenholzer and Adrian
Griffin.
Thank you.
Yep.
You can't do it for 3. I mean, there's only so much money, even though they've got a billionaire in place now.
I mean, this is just bad decision after bad decision. Now, if you look at hindsight, people would say, and I still think the Dame Lillard trade was smart because, again, you built this team for the playoffs. I don't care if you limp in. As long as you're in, the Lakers made a run last year, and they got in the play-in tournament.
Well, they're going to have to do it again.
Made a run.
They're going to have to do it again this year.
And they can. It's just about getting there. That's all that matters. The Bucks can show up now and really make a run. It's not the regular season that we thought we'd have in Milwaukee, but it doesn't mean it's over. And the people writing Milwaukee off saying, well, it's done when the playoffs haven't even started yet. You brought in Dame Lillard for this specific situation. If Giannis got hurt, because last year he got hurt and nobody else was there that could step it up. You have a player that can do it. They're going to get past Indiana because this is a different ball game now. Giannis is going to come back and they're going to make a run at it. And I wouldn't be surprised if they make it into the finals this year.
Okay. You heard it here first. There's our prediction. I think they're going to
I didn't say it was a prediction.
You did.
I said it could happen.
No, you said it was going to happen. I think they're going to.
Final, say it happens.
I think they're going to get to.
They're going to be at the Eastern Conference.
I can see them getting to the Eastern Conference final.
And they're going to play Boston, and that's a different ball game.
Right. Then
that's Drew Holiday's vengeance
Revenge.
game. But they're definitely going to get there. I just think that now that the playoffs are here, as long as Doc Rivers can get out of their way, they're going to show up and perform.
We're going to see. Now is when you need a good coach that's going to let his players do their jobs.
Well, it's a good coach that's going to get them ready to go. And that's what you need for Dame Lillard now. You need him to get in the zone. He's having a hard time right now, but this is a different ball game. This needs to be all about the playoffs. And if you can't get them in that mindset, then they're going to get beat by Indiana. And it's not even going to be close.
Dame's got to step up. I know it's been hard. This move has been extraordinarily hard on him because of his personal life. But now it's go time. And now it's Dame time because they're going to have him to win even one series.
Correct.
As you said. Speaking of things that are really, really messed up, the dollar amount on the Ohtani scandal keeps going up and up to the point where I'm going, even if you've got money managers, how do you not notice $16 million disappearing from your client?
Yeah. I said that when it was 4.2.
And
he made in his MLB career so far $42 million.
Yeah.
We are encroaching half of his MLB earnings being stolen from him. Now, he has other assets, and I don't know what his actual net worth is. But still, of your earnings, that is half of your earnings gone.
He makes about $100 million on endorsements.
You cannot convince me that he didn't notice $16 million disappearing out of his bank account. You cannot convince me this.
I'm not going to try. I saw your intro. I'm not going to try. I'm trying to figure this out myself because Ipe Matsurari.
Good try.
Yeah, I know. His former interpreter is either going to take a fall for him or, okay, his interpreter made $300,000.
Correct.
The bookie was extending him credit for millions of dollars.
$40 million in losses. This is worse than the Jaguar thing.
He would never have that kind of money. It would take him the rest of his life and somebody else's life to pay that back. Even at $300,000, how is Ohtani?
Well, that's what they're saying theft. He stole it.
Again, is he taking a fall? Or baseball's trying to brush this. They've come out and said, Ohtani's not involved. We're moving on. I think there's more to the story that's yet to come out.
The name on the tickets
was Ohtani.
Was Shohei Ohtani.
Right.
So if Ipe Mizuhara.
Very well done.
Thank you. I was nervous about that one, but I went for it. Go me. Why wouldn't the tickets be in his name if he's the one that was gambling?
Because Ohtani's the one with the pockets.
I understand that. But if Ipe Mizuhara, I did it again. I'm getting good at this. I only practiced this 1,000 times before we started the show. But if Mizuhara is the one that was actually gambling, why wouldn't his name be on the tickets? This is where you tried to convince me I'm wrong.
Well,
unless he's lying that Shohei is making the bets, but why would a bookie? This is a smart bookie. This is a guy who has made millions of dollars in gambling. This guy's an intelligent business person that got caught.
You and I both were related to a bookie.
Yeah.
They aren't dumb guys.
No.
And they don't
very,
extend,
very smart.
And they're very, very ruthless.
Correct. And if you are losing $40 million, he's going to ask you to pay up.
And not a week from next Tuesday.
No, I used to play poker a lot. You know that.
Yeah.
I used to play a lot. You paid at the end of the night. And if you didn't pay at the end of the night, problems happened. So you can't sit here and tell me that this guy lost $40 million in gambling and the bookie didn't come looking for him to say it's time to pay up. Because you realize this guy was allowed to do an interview with ESPN taking the fall for this.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ohtani's people all of a sudden reached out and said, no, don't do this.
Right.
If you're really in trouble with bookies, you really think you're giving that interview? This is a joke. There's no way. Something's wrong here. Either the story is wrong, which, listen, stories can be wrong, or this is Ohtani behind this, and he is the one gambling. Allegedly. I want to make sure I'm saying allegedly. This is my opinion on this. But from knowing what it's like to put money down when you are in these type of circles, they're going to ask you to pay up as soon as the gambling, or as soon as the game, as soon as anything is over. They are wanting you to pay up. They want their money now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this.
And there's no lead time. There's no, oh, he's a nice guy, let's not worry about it.
That's not how it works.
It doesn't work that way.
No, they have big people who will hurt you.
Yes.
And they may let you put down another bet to do double or nothing, but then they're really going to chase you if you lose that. You don't lose $40 million in gambling and not pay $40 million in gambling debts.
This has the potential to make the Pete Rose scandal look small.
Right. Now, the only other way this could happen, but this isn't how it happened, is if you bet with this bookie and lose, so then you go to the other bookie to try and make the money back to pay back that bookie, and then you lose, but then there's several other bookies involved. This was one guy.
He had some assurances that Ohtani was backing this money. And if it's Matsuhara that's just lied about everything and got away with it. But again, we go back to the fact these bookies are smart guys.
Well, how does he have access to Ohtani's bank account? Because money was wired out.
Right.
So how does he have access to Ohtani's bank account? I just think that when there's smoke, there's fire, and there's a lot of smoke.
There's a lot of questions that aren't answered that you and I are asking, and we're not investigators.
Correct.
FBI has got to be looking deep into this because they wanted to get this bookie.
Right. And these guys are trying to make a name for themselves as federal agents, and if they can get Ohtani on this, they're going to do it. So why is this being allowed for this guy to take a fall?
I don't even think it's trying to make a name. They're trying to do the right thing and get a very bad guy off the streets.
Okay, you're less cynical than I am.
That's never happened. I'm way more cynical.
They're definitely going for the bookie, but they're going after Mizuhara really, really hard right now on this. This is out of baseball's hands, and I think it's going to continue to roll downhill. And Ohtani is going to be brought back up in this. This isn't over. This isn't even close to being over.
I don't think it's over at all, and I think
the biggest issue is this guy was an employee of the Angels at the time.
Right.
And when he got caught, he was an employee of the Dodgers, but he was an employee of the Angels before that. I feel bad for the Dodgers on this one. This is the second time they've paid out big contracts and something scandalous has happened.
Yeah, the Dodgers are victims in this. I don't like playing the victim card, but in this case, I just think there's so many questions that go on that are unanswered that the fact that baseball is trying to sweep this under the rug is getting way ahead of the game. I mean, it's not time to do that yet.
They need this to disappear. They have nothing but black marks on their eyes when it comes to the uniforms, when it comes to pitchers now getting hurt more and more, with them trying to get rid of the sticky stuff, which may be leading to more injuries for the sticky stuff, which we're going to save for another show. But there's a lot going on in baseball right now that is tarnishing its name, and baseball never used to be this. It wasn't until Bud Selig went after the steroid users, and ever since then, it's like more and more and more and more.
They cannot get out of their own way.
Well, it's the union after the whole steroid scandal going back after baseball. And it's just this nonstop back and forth. And then you have the thing I saw with Angel Hernandez where he's missing calls that are 7 inches off the plate. I mean, this is just the highlights you are seeing from baseball are not great plays.
They're not.
They're people doing bad things.
Yeah, it's not home runs and incredible diving catches. It's Angel, as you said, Angel Hernandez missing yet another set of 3 calls.
Right. Which shows that baseball doesn't have the control over their own sport. You don't think and the NFL would never allow this to go out. The NBA recovered from a gambling scandal because they controlled their own narrative. They moved past it. Baseball can't control their own narrative. And it's just it's a bus driving downhill. This is just as bad as what happened in 1919 with the White Sox.
Potentially and allegedly. We'll see.
I just mean with baseball not having control of the story.
Oh.
And they need a new commissioner to come in to bring in what I would like to see is the Carney plan of baseball.
Of course.
And to change the sport, to change the image, you have to have something to jump forward with. And Rob Manfred is not the strong man behind the wheel you need when there's a storm.
Well, and the Carney plan, the best part about it is you're going to get fans engaged in every single game because you're going to have 5 3-team divisions and everybody's going to be watching every game.
When you're going to engage with the 12th inning, there's
Yep.
so much more you can do with baseball to make this sport better. They need a strong hand on the wheel right now because they are in storm territory and it is running away. But do you know what this proves more than anything?
What?
You can't trust a guy with a bowl cut.
Cheap shot at the interpreter. But
If it's there, you got to take
You
it.
gotta
It's
take
his fault for having a bowl cut. He should know better.
okay. So I did a little research over the last few days.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's always scary when I do that. But I wanted to go back, and fortunately, was able to find this pretty easily. The last 20 seasons of quarterbacks drafted in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I want to give credit where credit was due. This is from the NFL page, NFL.com. And they actually ranked, yeah, I'll get it out, don't worry. They actually ranked the classes from 1 through 20. There's a lot of years, and I'm going to bring up a random one here. 2008, Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco, Brian Braun. Not much there.
Chad Henne was a good quarterback.
It was okay for a while. let's see where we got here. 2016, Jared Goff was in there. Carson Wentz out of the league. Paxton Lynch. Going back even farther, 2000, Chad Pennington that you just brought up. Giovanni Carmazzi.
Yeah, it's something like with the quarterbacks drafted in the NFL draft, it is 1% that end up working out in the NFL.
Exactly. I mean, the best draft ever, well, at least in the 2000s, is obviously the 2004 draft.
Yeah.
Where you had Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, and Ben Roethlisberger.
3 Hall of Famers in the top quarterback picks.
First ones. 2020 has the potential to go down as number 2.
I mean, let's see. Hold on. Let's get to the 2020 draft.
2020
Joe
was
Burrow, Hall of Famer. Tua Tagovailoa, if he can stay healthy. Justin Herbert, we'll see. Jordan Love, Hall of Famer already. Jalen Hurts, we'll see what he can do. But, I mean, you have the first 5 guys who are starters in this league and who could end up being Hall of Famers. 2 for sure.
and that is so rare that 5 in a row hit.
Yeah.
Now, let's take a look at this year.
It's going to be the worst draft since the Raiders.
Hold on. Just hold on a second. All this comes down to a lot of this. Jordan Love is not successful if he goes to anywhere else but Green Bay. Do you agree?
No.
I do.
Okay.
Because he got to sit for 3 years.
I think
got to
sitting
work
helped
with
a
them.
lot.
Helped a lot. The ones that are going to be successful, the ones that end up, quite honestly, in a good situation, the ones that have the best offensive coaching. You know, if you have somebody like you do in Green Bay or Minnesota, the one with the best weapons, the good wide receivers, and the right cultures that are going to give these guys time to develop. I'm not sure that's going to be found. Caleb Williams is going to go to Chicago. Caleb's been in the spotlight since he was in high school.
Jamarcus Russell.
I don't see that. I don't think he's going to be that bad, but he's going to a defensive-minded organization. Don't know what he's going to get in the way of coaching.
The issue you have here is you have, with the Bears especially, you always have coaches and GMs that are making moves to try and save their jobs.
And this is absolutely that.
And that's what's going to happen again. And that's the problem with bad organizations. You're trying to make moves, not thinking about the future, but trying to save your job because you get cut as a general manager like that. I mean, it is over if you make the wrong decision. Chicago's going to make the wrong decision because Caleb Williams is going to be a bust. A bust we haven't seen since Jamarcus Russell in 2007.
Is this
with
like
the
your
Raiders.
Tiger prediction?
No, this is not like my Tiger prediction. This kid's too immature. And if you look at his skill set, and I'm not the one saying this, if you look at his skill set, it doesn't translate to the NFL. I just don't think it will. This isn't going to work well. He has the weapons to succeed, and he may look decent in his first year. But people are going to get tape on this kid. It wouldn't surprise me if Caleb Williams came in his first year and won Rookie of the Year. He won't. He's going to be a bust from the word go. But you're going to see year 2, not just a sophomore slump. You are going to see a disastrous career beginning. It is going to be bad.
Okay.
Drake May. You think Drake May is going to be any good in the NFL? He's going to go to Washington, New England, the Giants maybe.
You know where I think he's going to end up? Minnesota is desperately trying to move up. They've got picks to do it.
I think they're going to take the Chargers pick, honestly.
Maybe. I could even see New England saying, yeah, we'll trade back with you. And then hoping to get Penix or Nix later on in the draft.
Sure.
But if they go up, Minnesota drafts Drake May has a chance to be good because they'll work with him.
No, he doesn't. They're going to rush him in there. Sam Darnold starting for a year. They're going to rush him in. You don't teach accuracy. You can't teach accuracy.
Stop. Then Jordan Love shouldn't be in the NFL right now because he wasn't accurate coming in.
That's not true.
Drake May can get good coaching in Minnesota right now and be would he be as good as Kirk Cousins? He's going to be in that same neighborhood with good coaching.
No,
and he can work. He's going to have a lot of work to do on his accuracy. I'll give you that. But it can happen.
Jaden Daniels, he's had 1 year.
He's going to be in Washington, and
probably.
I think that's going to be a disaster
For
waiting to
J.J.
happen.
McCarthy to Washington. He seems to magically be moving up the board on everybody's list.
You know who J.J. McCarthy reminds me of?
No.
A.J. McCarron.
That's a good comparison. Surrounded
Alabama.
by amazing talent.
Surrounded by all the talent in the world, not asked to do a whole lot, comes into the NFL, and the game is so fast. And that's what I haven't heard a lot of talk about. The NFL is so much faster than what they see in college.
I mean, you hear it from NFL players all the time. College and the NFL are two different games.
Yes, and these guys are all coming into a situation they've never seen before.
No.
I think, honestly,
who do you have out of this list? So let's look at the list we have here.
Okay.
Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., and Spencer Rattler. I mean, out of these quarterbacks, who do you think is going to be successful? I think Bo Nix has a chance.
I think Penix has a chance.
I do too. I've said that for a while.
In the right situation.
He can stay healthy.
Well, wait a minute. He was hurt early, but the last 2 seasons, he's been completely healthy. He worked through it. I mean, he was facing big hits, and he survived them. So I think the injury thing, while it's going to be weighed in, shouldn't be overrated either, though. He's been healthy for 2 straight years. Spencer Rattler could be like Brock Purdy. Could end up in a great situation.
He and Caleb Williams, when it comes to maturity level, are the same thing. I think he grew up a little bit in South Carolina. He had to humble himself real bad.
After leaving Oklahoma?
Again, I mean, Spencer Rattler could go undrafted. I don't even know why you included him on this list.
Because I've seen some articles saying he could be the sleeper quarterback in this.
Great. I've seen articles that say Caleb Williams is the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's still not true.
You've said that, and I think you're overstating it because you have a visceral dislike for him after what he wrote on his hand. I hated it too, but he does have skills. I just don't know.
I hate everything he says. He is an immature kid.
Okay.
Extremely immature.
I don't see him coming in and being the leader that C.J. Stroud was. I just don't.
Okay, then he's going to fail.
He's in a bad situation in Chicago.
He's in a real bad situation because they've given a lot of weapons on that team for him now.
Let's take a look at this. Here's the draft order. Chicago's going to take Caleb Williams, from what we've heard.
Okay.
I still think Jaden Daniels may be kind of in play, but I doubt it. Washington, probably Jaden Daniels. New England, I could see trading back, or if not, they're going to take Drake May, and Drake May is dead.
Yeah.
There's nothing there to protect him. He has no weapons. He's gone.
So bust.
Arizona may trade back with the Giants, but then if they do that, the Giants are going to take J.J. McCarthy.
Okay, bust.
Because, well, they think that coach of the Giants can do what he did with Josh Allen. I don't see it. I think Arizona is going to take either Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr. Chargers will draft a wide receiver. The Giants are sitting there.
Okay, Minnesota's going to trade up and get the Chargers pick.
Minnesota's going to definitely trade up.
If they don't trade up, it would shock me. It would be smart, but I think they're going to trade up.
Unless they fall in love with a Nix or a Penix Jr. and think that they can work with them.
I think Bo Nix sitting behind Sam Darnold for a year, working with Kevin O'Connell, will do him well. I think the same thing with Michael Penix Jr. I've told you, if there are the two quarterbacks that I think have a real chance, it's Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. J.J. McCarthy, I don't understand why he is jumping up so many draft boards. It doesn't make sense to me.
Doesn't to me either, because he didn't throw that many passes.
No, but Denver's going to draft a quarterback, and that's going to a bad situation.
No, it's not, because you've got a great coach there.
Do you have a great coach, or do you have a coach that got lucky?
With Drew Brees?
Do you think that Sean Payton is looked at this way if Drew Brees signed with Miami?
Depends on who he had and who he could develop. I mean, did he develop Drew Brees, or did Drew Brees just absolutely have all those skills and he just mesh with Sean Payton?
That one.
Okay. Then he's got to find a quarterback that he's going to mesh with. I don't think they're drafting a quarterback, honestly.
Then it's going to be a bad year.
Vegas is going to want to draft a quarterback. I mean,
you're talking 7 quarterbacks going in the first round. There's not 7 talented quarterbacks. There's not 2 talented quarterbacks that should go in the first round this year.
And then you get down.
This is just overrated. Teams need quarterbacks
desperately, and you've got teams. The highest priority and the biggest commodity in NFL football is a starting quarterback.
Really,
and that's why people are jumping at this.
Do you think any of these players, if you're talking the Raiders, are better than Aiden O'Connell? I don't.
No, I don't either.
I don't think they're worse by any means, but I don't think they're better. Some of them I think are worse.
Everybody's talking about getting Jane Daniels there. That's never happening. They don't have the draft capital to get up to make that trade.
No.
I think, put a Penix Jr. in Las Vegas. Might be a good fit.
Might. These are all reaches to me. These are all reaches.
Bigger than the Jordan Love reach?
Obviously, because Jordan Love's a Hall of Famer. So clearly, you should have the first overall pick.
Jordan Love had a great second half of his first season playing.
He had a bad middle.
Yeah.
He had a great start.
A very bad middle.
And he had a tough middle.
Very bad middle.
It wasn't good.
He's going to get paid, and God bless him. I'm just not putting a gold jacket on until I see him do it for 2 or 3 years.
Well, then you have failed the city.
I am not.
You really got to stop watching that show. I say that too much now.
Let's scroll down in the draft a little bit. And we're going to do a draft preview show next week, obviously.
Yeah.
But
why? I'm kidding. Draft next week.
Wow. I was trying to think of it. I couldn't believe you actually said that and threw me for a loop. So we get down. Dallas is a cluster right now with all the stuff going on, and now things are sneaking out. Oh, yeah. You've got a lame duck coach. You've got a lame duck quarterback. You got CeeDee Lamb, who bad things are sneaking out about him.
Best wide receivers in the league.
Yeah, exactly. But according to people within the Dallas clubhouse,
he's tired of losing.
Then you get to Green Bay.
Yeah.
Everybody I hear, and I've heard several people going, they're going to take an offensive tackle.
If Mims falls, they should.
But he's not. He won't fall that.
He might.
I doubt he'll fall.
The more quarterbacks go up, the more real players fall down.
Yes, if he falls, Packers should draft him.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the Packers' history. Packers draft defense in the first round. They've done it.
That's what Goody does, yes.
Under Goody, they've drafted an offensive player exactly one time.
Yeah.
And that was Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to draft defense, either the cornerback from Iowa.
Which, okay, we're drafting another injured player. That's great. Guy has a broken leg. Hasn't run since he broke his leg.
My personal opinion, they can get a great edge rusher in Chop Robinson from Penn State, who should be there at this number. I take an edge rusher.
Kool-Aid will probably be there. If you move to safety, I don't see him being a corner necessarily in the NFL, but I think he'd be a great safety. You got the safety from Minnesota that you can get in the second round. I think that would be a great pick. You got to draft a tackle here, if not a wide receiver.
Well,
your wide receivers overperformed last year.
Yeah, they did, and you're going to want to pick some more up. But
if Xavier Worthy from Texas is here, wide receiver from Texas, I think you make that pick.
Maybe. The Packers are always do really well later in the draft, and they've got, 5 picks in the first 90-some?
Okay, last year they did.
Well, they do again this year.
No, I'm saying last year they did well in the second half of the draft. If you
They
look at
did.
Goody's track record before then, it's been pretty miserable.
I know. And the Iowa cornerback is Cooper DeJean.
Right.
His name kind of jumped out of my head for a minute. I don't think they should draft him either. I don't like drafting guys who've been injured.
No, it's never worked out. Derek Sherrod, Dante Jones, the list goes on and on and on with the Packers drafting injured players.
Christian Watson.
That's been a fun experiment.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the skills, but he just can't stay on the field.
He's got the size. He doesn't catch anything.
He does. He's got a lot of touchdowns.
He couldn't catch a cold if I sneezed in his mouth.
Wow, are you in a mood this afternoon? Personally, I think the Packers, if you can get the edge rusher, I mean, if Mims drops, great, grab him.
Yeah.
Chop Robinson would be the guy I would grab.
Yeah, but
I don't go for
him in the second round, though.
Robinson will not go. He's projected, if the Packers don't take him, he's projected to go to Tampa.
Fair.
And I could see that happening. I'm not worried about the offensive tackles. There are a lot of offensive linemen in this draft. It's fairly rich in that. So they'll get somebody.
Anytime everybody says that, this is what annoys me about the draft. It's rich in offensive linemen. Anytime I've heard that, like 3 of them work out. Like there's a lot of them. It doesn't mean there's.
But the Packers are particularly good at coaching those kind of players. They've always had good offensive lines that they can move people in and out. They will find their guys for that because they need to replace Josh Neiman, obviously.
Right. And Dave Bakhtiari.
And which
Zach Tom will be the
Zach Tom
tackle.
I mean, if you can get somebody for the left side that's outstanding, grab him. But if not, Zach Tom's did a decent job.
I think Mims is going to fall. I think that's the pick. I really think he's going to fall.
If he falls that much, you grab him.
It depends what the Jets do. If the Jets go with Bowers at tight end and don't draft an offensive lineman, it's going to be a fall. If they do draft an offensive lineman, then he might not make it down.
I think the Jets are going to take Bowers.
Then Mims will be on the board when the Packers pick. Unless somebody trades up for him.
I think somebody's going to grab him before then. There's teams with needs. And then that good of an offensive lineman.
But that's just it. People are saying he's not that good. They just say he's a big body. And his footwork sucks.
Okay, that can be taught.
I agree.
If you got a guy who's willing to work, that can be fixed.
Right. I'm with you on that. I'm just saying he's projected to drop. And if he drops to Green Bay, that's your pick.
It's going to be interesting to find out, and we'll go through the first.
Dallas is also going to draft an offensive lineman.
Yes. They need to.
After they lost Tyron Smith, I mean, they need to restock.
They do. It's going to be a very interesting draft. We're going to obviously be talking about it a lot next week. Hopefully you're in a better mood.
I won't be because Caleb Williams is still on the board.
I'm usually the one that's cranky around here, not you.
This quarterback conversation drives me nuts. It just does. There's nobody here worth those picks. This is where teams fail. And we have a quarterback. I shouldn't even be this upset about it, but it bothers me for fans of that team. If I'm a fan of the Bears, if I'm a fan of Washington, if I'm a fan of New England, if I'm a fan of the Giants, and this is what you're telling me is the list of quarterbacks I have to pick from that I have to hitch myself to for the next 3 to 4 years, I'm really upset right now because none of these guys are worth a pick, and your franchise is throwing away years. I can't stand the Bears. I'm a Packer fan. But the fact that I feel bad for them. I really do. They have this Hallis curse from the 85 Super Bowl that continues to follow them, where they're going to draft another quarterback that is not going to be any good, and they're going to, again, suck. And that just sucks to see because they do this time and time and time and time again. You have a kid with an attitude problem. They went, look at the last few quarterbacks they draft. Mitch Trubisky never should have been drafted. They never should have traded up for him at the number 2 overall pick. It's a kid who started for 1 year. Justin Fields, they ruined him. I mean, you just hitched it. You drafted him with a coach that never wanted him,
right?
And then bring in a defensive-minded coach for the next one and just make him go through how many offense coordinators now. He's going to go to Pittsburgh and light it up, which is really exciting.
It's almost like what happened to Alex Smith at San Francisco.
That's exactly what I was thinking. This is an Alex Smith situation. He's finally going to go to a place where he's allowed to have stability and is going to light it up. And then you have you now have Caleb Williams, who just isn't mature enough. This kid's Ryan Leaf 2.0. The intangibles are there. The maturity isn't.
He's had to deal with a spot. I'm going to give him a little more leeway only because he's had to live in the Los Angeles spotlight. He knows how to deal with it.
No, this kid showed up to a USC basketball game with a pink phone case and pink nail polish. Okay? That's what children do. That's what children do.
Or
you're going to pay this kid millions of dollars to run your franchise? He is a child.
Or he's eccentric.
No, this is what children do. This is him trying to get attention. This is what children do. This is what kids do in high school when they're looking to get attention. He is a child. If this is honestly how he shows up, he has the maturity level of a 15-year-old.
How do you really feel about him?
It's just a nightmare situation, and I'm tired of people talking about him that he's this great person. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if this kid plays with Barbie dolls. Like, this is absolutely insane that he's being talked about in this way. He's going to be a bust.
Wrong with playing with Barbie.
It is
if you're a
when
quarterback.
you need a guy that's going to be the face of your franchise. You need somebody who is ready. You need a Joe Burrow who's ready to face that. You need a Jordan Love. You need somebody of that caliber. Did anybody ever question if Peyton Manning had the attitude to be a star?
Of course not.
No. Andrew Luck? No. People did question Ryan Leaf, and look what happened. This is the same conversations that were happening with Ryan Leaf when it came up. These same conversations that happened with Jamarcus Russell that was coming up. The quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round that ended up being great were looked at like superstars.
Well, and they carry themselves like superstars and
correct.
Handled.
You had no questions what the leadership was going to be coming in. All the questions, and Lincoln Riley is doing a great job at covering this up, but all the questions are being had about his leadership capabilities. And I'm sorry, if you are showing up with FU on the other team to games when you have nationally televised games, that tells me about your character. And if right before you're about to be drafted, you decide to show up with pink nail polish on going to a basketball game, that tells me you are a child.
Okay. Well, we've had our draft conversation round number 1. Next week, we'll talk about the rest of the team.
I'm going to talk about this next week, too. This is a joke, and it bothers me. This kid's going to be a bust, and I should be happy because he's going to the Bears, right? And the Bears still suck. But I feel bad for Bears fans because this is what should be a great organization.
I mean, the Bears...
They're the second oldest franchise in the NFL.
If I was running the Bears, I would have went with Fields. I would have been drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. and somebody else along the line. Give them the weapons. And
they still don't have an offensive line.
Well, they still need to address it. They've added some, but not enough. It's going to be
a nightmare.
It's strange to watch because the division overall
is bad.
The Lions, the Packers, right now they've got the 4th best the two teams with quarterback issues, Minnesota and Chicago.
Minnesota's going to be bad this year.
I don't think so. I think they're going to be fine.
Chicago's going to be the worst team in the NFL again this year.
I don't think so. I don't think they're going to be that
bad. Lions
bad.
have to win this year. I mean, they just do. The rest of the Packers are catching up. They're going to be in the running this year.
I think the Packers could win the division. It's going to be the Lions or the Packers.
Yeah.
So it's going to be... This draft is always fun to talk about, and it's going to be a lot of fun to start talking about it in depth. Next week, we'll go through the entire first round like we did last year and give you our picks, and then we'll see where things end up.
You made me angry today.
I didn't make you angry. You just came in with a tude.
You made me angry today. It's your fault. I'm blaming you. You let us know what you think in the comments below, and while you're down there, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy the show as much as we enjoy making it. Unfortunately, today I still have to say this, but you cannot have a conversation with your dad without your father getting the last word. So it is all you.
So people can tell I don't normally wear jerseys, but in honor of Jackie Robinson Day, I'm wearing my Jackie Robinson jersey. Obviously, this week is the anniversary of Jackie integrating baseball. The heroes of that story, of course, are Branch Rickey, Robinson, and players like Pee Wee Reese, who welcomed him in and treated him like a player and not like a color. That being said, there's a guy that's been forgotten throughout the years that I think finally deserves some recognition, and that's Larry Doby. who broke the color barrier in the American League about 3 months after Jackie Robinson. Larry Doby's a Hall of Famer. He got put in 1998. The American League needs to acknowledge him. Cleveland has retired his number because he came up with the Indians. Number 14 has been retired in Cleveland. Number 14 needs to be retired for every team in the American League because Larry Doby was an iconic player and a great player. Every date on the anniversary of him breaking the American League color barrier, number 14 should be worn by every player in the American League to honor Larry Doby. He went through exactly what Jackie Robinson did. He faced all the same kind of racism and just stupid, idiotic behavior. He should be recognized for his contributions to integrating baseball. And it's long past time for the commissioner, in this case, Ron Manfred, to step up and have a Larry Doby day and retire his number in every American League ballpark and have a day where everybody is wearing number 14. Congratulations to Jackie Robinson. In 3 months, we're going to be celebrating and congratulating Larry Doby for breaking the color barrier in the American League.
You know, normally I zone out during your last words because they're the ramblings of a crazy old man. But that was solid. So are you saying that on Jackie Robinson Day, the National League should be wearing 42, or at one point during the season?
Jackie Robinson should be for all of baseball because Jackie Robinson is iconic and he broke it for the entire Major League Baseball.
But I'm just saying it would be interesting to see the National League wearing 42 and the American League wearing 14.
It'd be outstanding. If you want to do it on the same day, I'm all for it.
And have like a National League versus American League day.
42 versus 14, that would be a great idea. But it takes a forward-thinking commissioner to actually do that.
Well, and there you have it. That's not going to happen. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. This has been Sports Talk with Dad. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.